Ever wonder how a sports betting analyst really thinks? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain. We've got a real list of betting tips for just one day, and we're going to deconstruct them, piece by piece, to figure out the hidden logic that ties it all together.
All right, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the blueprint itself. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the strategy of goals, how handicaps work, some of those more interesting bets beyond just winning, and of course, backing the big favorites. By the end, you'll see how it all fits together. Okay, let's set the scene. Our blueprint comes from December 26th. You know, Boxing Day, a massive day for sports fans everywhere. We're talking a global feast of sports, from those classic football matches in the UK all the way over to basketball games in the Middle East.
So what we have is this list. 14 tips covering 4 different countries and 2 very different sports, all on one single day. And that's the big question, isn't it? What's the common thread? How does the logic for a rainy football match in England connect to a basketball game in Saudi Arabia? Well, that's exactly what we're about to uncover.
All right, first up, let's talk about the most common strategy we see in this blueprint: betting on goals. This isn't about who's going to win or lose. Nope. It's about predicting the rhythm of the game, the offensive action. You're basically betting on things to get exciting. Okay, you're going to see this term pop up a lot. Over 1.5 goals. If you're new to this, it's super simple. It just means you're betting that there will be 2 or more goals in the entire match scored by either team. You're not picking a side, you're just hoping for an open, entertaining game.
And this is where it gets really cool, because you start to see the patterns. Look at the rationale. We've got bets on early goals because certain leagues, like in Belgium or the English Championship, just tend to have fast starts. Then you see bets on specific teams to score at least once. Why? Well, maybe they have a reliable attack like Ipswich or a ton of home firepower like Leicester. And then there's the Old Trafford advantage for Man United. I mean, that home crowd can feel like an extra player on the field.
And here's the thing. This logic, this idea of betting on an action-packed game, it's not just for football. The exact same principle can be applied to a totally different sport.
And boom, here it is in black and white. A basketball game in France. The bet? That the first half will have over 79.5 points. And the reason? Check it out. A rivalry matchup where a fast, high-scoring start is expected. Sounds familiar, right? It's the exact same thinking we saw in the football matches. A fast start just means points instead of goals. Same logic, different sport.
Okay, let's shift gears. What happens when a game looks totally lopsided? You know, one team is a huge favorite. How do you find any value there? Well, that's where the handicap comes in, to level the playing field.
So what exactly is a handicap bet? Think of it like this. You're giving the underdog a head start on the scoreboard before the game even begins. It's a way to make the odds more even and the whole thing a lot more interesting than just betting on the obvious winner.
And this slide is a perfect comparison. On the left, you've got football. Birmingham City gets a 2-goal head start, a +2 handicap. The logic? They've been in strong form lately, so they're not expected to get blown out. Now look at the right. Basketball. The underdog gets a massive 47.5-point head start. The numbers are way different, but the core idea is identical. The home team is expected to be competitive enough to not lose by a huge margin. It's the same exact thinking, just applied to different sports.
All right, now we're going to go a little deeper, because sometimes the smartest analysis isn't about who wins or how many goals are scored. It's about digging into these niche markets that are all about a team's unique style of play.
So you might be thinking, okay, if it's not about winning and it's not about goals, what's left? Well, it turns out there's a whole world of things to look at that really get to the heart of how a team plays.
Check these out. A bet on Egypt getting a lot of corners? That's not a random guess. It's based on their high possession style. They hold on to the ball, which usually leads to corners. Or the corner handicap for Zambia. That's based on the idea that they'll control the tempo and dominate the game's flow. And then there's this one, win either half. It's a clever way of saying, hey, this top team, Union SG, is so good they're almost certain to dominate for at least one of the 2 halves, even if the final score is close.
But you know, not every bet has to be super complicated. Sometimes the analysis is just straightforward. All the signs point in one direction, and the simplest strategy is just to back the heavyweight.
And Al Hilal is the perfect example of this. You can almost see the analyst going down a checklist. Are they the dominant team in the league? Yep. Are they undefeated? You bet. Are they incredibly strong at home? Absolutely. So in a case like this, the bet isn't about finding some clever hidden angle. It's just about recognizing when all the evidence is screaming one thing. Okay, so let's pull it all together. After taking this whole blueprint apart, what have we actually learned? What's the common thread that connects all these different bets from all over the world?
Well, the biggest takeaway for me is that this was not just a list of random guesses. It was a collection of mini analyses. Each bet was based on a specific factor, whether it was a team's recent form, their attacking style, the huge advantage of playing at home, or even the context of the game itself, a fiery rivalry where things are bound to get intense. It's about using the right tool for the right job.
So really, when you deconstruct this whole thing, you see it all comes down to recognizing patterns and applying solid logic. And that brings us to the single most important piece of advice from the source. Understanding the why behind any tip is everything, which is why it all ends with this simple, crucial reminder: bet responsibly. Thanks so much for diving into this with me.